Hi everyone, welcome into part 3 of this video, and I'm titling this NAIA National Tournament Selection Process Breakdown. And of course, in the last video, we broke down all of the ARC information, as well as how that is factored into selecting teams for an at-large bid. And then, of course, part 1, we went over the RPI, the strength of schedule, and the opponent's winning percentage. And in this final part, we are going to look at the current conference standings across the whole entire NAIA and look at all of the teams in the last arc to determine which teams would be locked in right now, which teams would be on the bubble. So without further ado, we are going to dive into that. And the first conference we are going to look at is going to be the AMC conference. This is the American Midwest Conference, and right now you have Columbia out of Missouri. They are leading that conference. They are 21-1 overall, 12-0 in their conference, and they are now in their last ARC number, which what came out Tuesday of this week, does not reflect the games from Wednesday night. The next ARCs come out on the 16th. I think it is the 16th. So again, I'm going to be recording a video then going over all of that. So Columbia, they are leading the AMC right now. They are 7th in their arc, and they are listed. They are in the Midwest arc. They are 7th in that arc. And of course, in my last video, I talked about how the arc is determined. It's basically the NAIA Selection Show Committee taking teams that from other conferences and basically merging you into one large conference. And that's kind of a really good way of describing that. So basically, that's how the arcs are decided, is putting either 11 or 16 teams into one big conference, and that is how that's done. So Columbia, they are 7th in their arc right now. And then Williams Baptist out of Arkansas, they are 15th in that arc. And they are the number 2 seed right now at 17-4, 11-2 in the conference. So again, Williams Baptist, I think, would be in right now, despite being all the way down in their respective arc. Again, I don't know where their RPI and quad records stand. I'm not going to go over that in this video. But based off of that, I definitely would see. Now, again, this is a conference that has 10 or more teams. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's 11. So this is a conference that would get 2 auto bids into a national tournament, and right now, those 2 auto bids more than likely would be Columbia out of Missouri, because they're winning the regular season by 2 games, and then your second auto bid right now more than likely would be Williams Baptist, depending on how the AMC conference tournament played out. And then really your only other team on the bubble would be UHSP. They are 9-3 in the conference. However, they're 12-10 overall, and looking at UHSP, okay, they are not listed anywhere in the top 16 in the arc, so meaning that basically the only 2 teams in the AMC right now, the American Midwest Conference, that would be Columbia and Williams Baptist. So now we go down to the Appalachian Athletic Conference, the AAC, and right now you have Bryan out of Tennessee, 18-5, 14-1 in conference. Reinhardt out of Georgia, 16-5, 13-1 in conference. Milligan, Tennessee, 14-7, 13-1 in conference. And everybody else, I just don't see making that tournament. So right now in the AAC, again, this is another conference that has 10 or more, so they will get 2 auto bids. And right now, I think your 2 auto bids would be Bryan and Reinhardt, at least right now, because they are the number 1 and 2 seeds in their conference. So depending on how that conference tournament played out, that would determine that. And I'm going to look to see where's Bryan and Reinhardt. They are in there, Bryan and Reinhardt, bear with me. Okay, so they're in the East Arc. Reinhardt, so that was Bryan. Yeah, Bryan and Reinhardt's actually not listed within the top 16 in the East Arc. However, Bryan is. They are the last team in the East Arc. They are at the very bottom at 16th. They're winning their arc. So again, Bryan, they would be in. So again, this goes to show you that even though you may be down toward the very bottom of your respective arc, that does not mean that you are not in danger, that does not mean that you are in danger of not making the national tournament, because that literally does not matter because of the current standings. That is for sure. So Bryan definitely would be in right now because they are winning their conference. Reinhardt more than likely would be in. So again, That would be your second auto bid. And then Milligan out of Tennessee would be on the bubble. Milligan is 15th in the East Arc, and they are third in the AAC right now. So again, I think those would be the only 3 teams that would be in as of today. And again, there are I believe 30 at-larges, 30 auto bids, 29 at-larges. Now we look at the Cal-Pac Conference, the California Pacific Conference. Now this is a conference that only has 6 teams in, so they only get 1 auto bid, whoever wins that conference tournament. And right now, that would be Simpson at 4-0 in their conference. They're 12-7 overall. But again, if there's a team lower down that wins the conference tournament, meaning Northern New Mexico at 8-11 or Stanton at 3-17, they definitely would steal a bid away from somebody else. And now in terms of I believe they're in the West Arc. Yeah, Simpson is dead last in the West Arc. So again, that basically means Simpson right now would be the only team that would get in. They have a 2-game lead in that conference. So now we get to the Cascade, the CCC, the Cascade Collegiate Conference. And right now you would have Eastern Oregon. They are the 1 seed right now, leading that conference 19-3. Or 19-3 overall, 11-3 in the conference. Corbin 18-4, 11-3 in the conference. Southern Oregon 16-6, 11-3. Oregon Tech 15-7, 11-3. Lewis Clark State 17-6, 11-4. College of Idaho 16-6, 10-4. So this is a conference that easily could get all 6 of these teams in. So you look at all 6 of these teams. In the West Arc, you have, who is the first one? Eastern Oregon. They are currently 3rd in the West Arc. Oregon Tech is currently 4th in that conference. Oregon Tech is 4th in the West Arc. And they that was Oregon Tech. Yeah, Oregon Tech is 4th in the West Arc. They're 4th currently in the conference. Southern Oregon is 3rd currently in the conference. They are 7th in the West Arc. And Lewis Clark State, College of Idaho. Lewis Clark State 2nd in the West Arc. And College of Idaho 10th in the West Arc. So again, this is a conference that could easily see all these teams in. Carroll out of Montana. Carroll's not in the Cascade. They're in the Frontier. So in the Cascade, easily 6 teams right now that would be in. So let's go to the Frontier because I know that's where Carroll is. Yeah, Carroll is 2nd right now on the Frontier behind Dakota State. Dakota State's leading the West Arc. And what was the other team? Okay, Carroll, they are 5th in the West Arc right now. Montana Tech and Rocky Mountain. Montana Tech's 8th in the West Arc. Rocky Mountain 6th in the West Arc right now. So, and in terms of the conference standings, Rocky Mountain, Montana Tech, they're 3rd and 4th respectively in their conference right now. Montana State Northern is a team on the bubble, 15-6, 11-5. Montana State Northern is 11th in the West Arc. So again, this is another conference that could easily get a lot of these teams in. So conceivably in the West Arc, I mean, you're looking at maybe all 11 currently in the West Arc all getting in. So again, this is really what's going to be interesting moving forward. That is for sure. And now we have, let me see if I know we went over the Cascade. Let me make sure I got all. Okay, so next is the CCAC, the Chicago Collegiate Athletic Conference. And right now, Olivet Nazarene is leading that conference, 17-6, 13-2 in the conference. St. Francis of Illinois, I alluded to those 2 teams, 20-3, 12-3. St. Xavier, 15-7, 11-3. And then you have IU South Bend at 16-6. So what was South Bend in the? Okay, South Bend, that would be the North Arc. South Bend is outside of a top 16 in the North Arc. Governor State 15-9. I know they're outside of the top 16. I know St. Xavier, St. Francis, they are 11th and 15th in the North Arc right now. I know I talked about that earlier. Olivet Nazarene, they are 13th in the Arc. So again, the North Arc, based on that, and of course it's based off of and not including all the other teams that are locked in right now. This North Arc, I'm telling you, it is going to get interesting, y'all. It really, really will, based on the current conference standings, that's for sure. So again, the CCAC, they have more than 10 teams. They get 2 auto bids. Right now would be St. Francis and Olivet Nazarene. St. Xavier more than likely would get an at-large bid. as of now. And in the Cascade, they have more than 10 teams, so they would get 2 autos. And right now would be Eastern Oregon and Corbin. And so you would have Southern Oregon, Oregon Tech, Lewis Clark State, College of Idaho. You could have 4 at-larges coming out of the Cascade. So that is really going to get interesting. And now we get down to the Continental Athletic Conference, the CAC. And this is a team that has 10 or more, so they get 2 autos. And right now, that would be Georgia Gwinnett College and Haskell Indian Nations. They are 5-0 and 4-1 in the conference. Haskell Indian Nations is 10-15 compared to Arkansas Baptist, that's 13-5. So again, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I don't believe that any of these teams are in their respective arcs. No. So the next team, so of course I mentioned the Crossroads League. We talked about the Frontier. So now we get to the GPAC, the Great Plains Athletic Conference. And right now, the teams in for sure would be Dordt, Dakota Wesleyan, 22-1, 19-4, 16-1, 15-2 in conference, respectively. Concordia, Nebraska, 18-5, 13-4. Hastings, 17-7, 13-5. Briarcliff, 17-7, 11-7. So again, this is 3, 4, 5. That's 5 teams, and I know they are in the Midwest arc. Dordt is leading the Midwest arc. Concordia, Dakota Wesleyan is currently second. So Dordt and Dakota Wesleyan, they're first and second in the Midwest arc. So they are 1 and 2. Again, this is a team that has 10 or more conferences, so they would get 2 auto bids. Right now would be Dordt and Dakota Wesleyan. No surprise here. And Concordia and Hastings. Concordia, Nebraska is 5th. Hastings is 8th in the arc, respectively. And Briarcliff, they are 10th in the arc. So again, this is a very competitive conference, y'all. It really, really is. The GPAC is one of the most competitive in the whole entire country. And the day before Selection Show Thursday, I'm going to go over these 3 conferences specifically, meaning the GPAC, the Mid-South, and the Crossroads League, because I think these are 3 conferences that is going to get the most teams in. As of today, I'm not going to do any of the other conferences in the country. I'm just going to hone in on these 3 specifically, go over and write down their team statistics, as well as their final RPIs, ARCs, and quad records. So I'm really, really excited about doing that the day before Selection Show Thursday. So in the Great Plains right now, I think 5 teams more than likely get in as of now. The next team down, the Great Southwest Conference. And right now, this is another team with 10 conferences. And let's see, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, they only have 9. So this is only going to get 1 auto bid in this conference right now. That would be the Masters, 16-5, 11-1. Hope International, 16-4, 10-1. And Arizona Christian, they're not getting in. Benedictine Mesa, they'd be on the bubble. And they would be in the, more than likely, they would be in the East, or no, they would be in the South, no, not the South. They would be in the West arc, and neither, at least more than likely, neither of these teams are in that arc. So again, in terms of the Great Southwest, I think right now you would be looking at the Masters, Hope International perhaps as an at-large bid. I think the Great Southwest only gets 2 teams in as of today. The HBCU, this is a team that has 10 or more, so they get 2 autos. You're looking at Oakwood right now, 15-6, 9-1. Paul Quinn, 13-5, 8-1. Wiley, 12-5, 7-2. So more than likely, you're probably only looking at Paul Quinn and Oakwood in this conference, and Wiley is 10th, Oakwood is 8th, respectively in the South Arc. So I think these 2 teams are going to be the only 2 that get in. And then we get to the Hart Conference, and again, 10 or more teams here. 2 auto bids right now will be Mid-America Christian, Benedictine, 18-3, 18-5, 14-1, respectively in conference. Mid-America, this would be the Midwest. Mid-America NAS, 6th in the arc. Benedictine is 9th in the Midwest arc. And then Grandview is definitely on the bubble, 17-7, 14-2. So I think maybe 3 in the Heart of America as of today. And then looking at the KCAC, the Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference, 10 or more teams here, 2 auto bids, Evangel and Friends out of Kansas, no question right now. 19-2, 20-3, 16-1, 14-3, respectively. Evangel and Friends, they are 3rd and 4th, respectively, in the Midwest arc. Bethel, Kansas, they are 11th in the arc. They are 16-7. So again, Bethel, Kansas is a bubble team. I think your 2 autos right now for sure in would be Evangel and Friends out of this conference. Bethel, Kansas on the bubble. Bethany out of Kansas, they are 13th in their respective arc. They are 15-7, 13-4 in conference, and I don't see anybody else below them making it as of today, unless the teams below them run the conference tournament. So right now in the KCAC, I only see 2 teams for sure in, Evangel and Friends, and then Bethel, Kansas, Bethany, Kansas, the 2 teams on the bubble here. This is a conference that could get 4 in as of today. I mentioned the Mid-South. 6 for sure in. I'm not going to dive into that because I talked about that earlier, I believe, in my last part video, so I'm not going to talk about the Mid-South. 6 out of the 7 teams for sure there. The Red River, you have 10 or more teams here. They get 2 auto bids right now. Would be LSU Shreveport, Texas A&M San Antonio. And let's look at them. Shreveport, they would be in the South. LSU Shreveport is first in their respective arc. Texas A&M San Antonio, they are 7th in their arc, and Texas A&M Texarkana, they're currently 3rd, and they are dead last in their respective arcs, so not really looking good for them. So I think right now the only 2 teams in this conference would be LSU Shreveport and Texas A&M San Antonio, meaning the 2 auto bids. Maybe A&M Texarkana, perhaps. We'll see how all that plays out. I don't see anybody else in this conference being in. Then you get down to the River States. I talked about them earlier. Rio Grande, 21-1, 10-0 in the conference. They're for sure in. Brescia, 18-5, 9-2 in the conference. Brescia is dead last in the North Arc. Midway, 17-5, 8-2 in the conference. And Midway, 14th in the North Arc. And Shawnee State, I think they're for sure in. They are 10th in the North Arc. Pardon me. And then everybody else down from there not getting in unless they run the conference tournament. So I think your 2 auto bid, your 1 auto bid in this conference would be Rio, and then whoever has the second toughest schedule would be the second auto bid, which I think right now would be Shawnee State. And I think in terms of the River States, your 2 at-larges here would be potentially Brescia and Midway. We'll see how all that plays out. But I think for sure 3 teams in the River States get in, perhaps a 4th. And then we get down to the Sooner and Langston. I talked about them. They are in right now. Langston is 2nd in the South Arc. They are 20-2, 13-2 in conference. Nelson, 18-3, 14-3 in conference respectively. Nelson is 5th in that respective arc. Mid-America Christian, Oklahoma, 18-5, 13-4 in conference. Mid-America Christian is 3rd in that arc. Science of the Arts, 17-6, 12-5. They are 6th in their respective arc. College of the Ozarks, 15-8, 12-5 in conference. And the Ozarks are 4th in the South Arc. So the Sooner conceivably could get all 5 of these teams in, and everybody else below them is not getting in unless they run the conference tournament. So the Sooner Athletic Conference, I think right now those 5 teams would be in. And again, I'm just basing this off of the current standings as of today and the latest ARC numbers, not the RPI, not the quad records. Again, you can find all that information on the NAIA website. Click on Women's Basketball, then click on Coach's Corner, and then scroll down to Selection Show Committee Process, and you can find out how all the other processes are factored in to selecting teams for not only an auto bid, but more specifically an at-large bid. You can find all that out on your own there. And then we get down to the Southern States Athletic Conference, the SSAC. Right now, Loyola, William Carey, for sure in, 19-2, 11-1, 10-2, both in conference respectively. Loyola, they're in the East. They are in the East arc. Loyola 5th in the East arc right now. William Carey, they are 6th in that respective arc. Tennessee Southern, they are 7th in the East arc. So right now, those 3 teams in the Southern States, Loyola, William Carey, Tennessee Southern, I think for sure in. Now, the 11th, let me go back real quick to the Sooner. Again, the Sooner has 10 or more teams, so your 2 auto bids would be Langston and Nelson, Mid-America Christian, Science of the Arts, College of the Ozarks. Potentially would be your 3 at-large bids there. The Southern States, your 2 teams in right now based on autos, Loyola and William Carey. Tennessee Southern would be, I think, your only at-large. Faulkner is 11th in their respective arc. They're 15-7 overall, so they're on the bubble. Not sure if they're going to get in. So potentially 4 teams in the Southern States. I think for sure 3. As of now, nobody else below them gets in unless they run their conference tournament. And then the second to last conference is the Sun. Right now, Southeastern, 21-3, 11-1 in conference. They're for sure in. And this is a team that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, they only get one auto bid. So right now the only team in would be Southeastern in terms of an auto bid. They're 11-1 in the conference. Kaiser 16-5, 8-3 in the conference. St. Thomas 14-9, 7-5, and Florida, and then everybody else below them not getting in unless they run the tournament. So your two at-larges and potentially your two at-larges in the Sun would be Kaiser and St. Thomas, because there's only one auto bid here because it is a less than 10 team conference. So looking at the standings here, or in terms of your arc here, you would have Southeastern is 9th in the East arc. Kaiser, St. Thomas, they are 14th and 12th respectively in the East arc. So again, not great for those two teams, but I think right now Kaiser would be your only at-large bid out of the Sun as of right now. St. Thomas, I don't think they make it unless they get on a big winning streak to end the regular season and or run their conference tournament. And then finally, we end with the WAC, the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. Indiana Tech and Lourdes tied at 19-4 right now. Rochester Christian, Aquinas are 13-4. Lourdes 15-2 in the conference. So we look at, again, the North Arcs. We have Indiana Tech 7th right now. Lourdes is not on this list. Aquinas is not on the list in the North Arc, meaning they're outside the top 16. And then so right now, I would say Indiana Tech for sure guaranteed to be in. So you're at larges. Now again, this is a 10-team conference in the WAC, meaning that you get two auto bids. Right now, the first auto bid would be Indiana Tech. They're up one game. And then more than likely, Lourdes would be your second auto bid as long as Lourdes made it to the conference title game and if Tech did as well. And again, this is no guarantee in this conference. And right now, I would say Aquinas at 15-7 potentially would be your only at-large bid here. I don't think Rochester Christian gets an at-large at 14-9. And then, of course, everybody else below Rochester Christian not going to make it unless they run the conference tournament. So right now, as we end this video in the WAC, you would have one for sure auto bid in Indiana Tech, and you would have more than likely your second auto bid, I think, would either be Lourdes or Aquinas, and either Lourdes or Aquinas being your only at-large bid. So I think there's only going to be one at-large bid out of the WAC. So that ends these videos going over all of that with you. So again, I hope this was super, super helpful to you, and it was a lot of fun talking about this, really, really diving into the national tournament and going over all of the conference standings as of today. And not just that, but going over all the conference standings, going over just which teams would be in based off of the current ARC numbers as well as the current standings in each individual conference. So I hope this was really helpful and super, super informative to you. I had so much fun doing it. And please let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoyed it and or would like me to keep doing these types of videos as over the next month or so prior and leading up to Selection Show Thursday, which literally is 1 month away today. So again, please let me know down below if you would like me to do that. And if you did find this video helpful and or informative, please either like, comment, or subscribe. And any one of those options helps me out greatly. Thanks so much for tuning into this video, and I will see you on Sunday recapping the Crossroads League games from tomorrow. There's a lot of exciting matchups. Can't wait to dive into that. So have a great rest of your day. I will see you on Sunday, and God bless.